Well, good morning. Today is Thursday, March the 18th, and it's my privilege to bring the most recent update for the COVID-19 situation here in the city of Belleville. And today is part of a very big week because it was 1 year ago this week that we had to come to terms with COVID-19. And what a year it has been. It's been a challenging year for all of us. We went through much of it not knowing what to expect. I think all in all, we've done very, very well, but we're not through it yet, and I'll touch on that a little bit later on today. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been cooperative and supportive and have helped us to keep our very, very good numbers. Today, I am at the transit terminal, the new newly renovated Robert Ladouceur Transit Terminal down here on Pinnacle Street. We did some extensive renovations through the last year, and this is the finished product. So it's great to be here. It's great to see it being used. Today is an important day because it's also Transit Driver Appreciation Day. And so those of you who are taking public transportation today, I ask you to say a special thank you to the drivers. We all talk about how we've had a lot of changes because of COVID. Our transit operators from the very beginning stepped up massively. Throughout, if you remember a year ago, there were a lot of concerns about how the virus spread or whatnot. They continued to operate their buses, not knowing if they were putting themselves in harm's way. They ensured that essential service continued throughout the pandemic so that people could go to see their doctors or go grocery shopping or to the bank or to work or whatever they needed. And we certainly appreciate them and their flexibility on every day, but especially today with National Transit Driver Appreciation Day. So here in our region, in terms of COVID, the Hastings and Prince Edward Health Unit region remains in green, which is the prevent zone. We've had very, very low cases. We started off the week with 3 consecutive days with 0 new cases. We had a new case yesterday. So right now we are sitting at 8 active cases in the region. And since the very beginning of COVID, we've only had 440 cases in our region. So those are very good numbers. Again, thank you everybody for all that hard work. There have been almost 103,000 tests completed, people getting checked for COVID through the last year, and those are phenomenal numbers. So I want to thank everybody at the COVID-19 Assessment Center, at the Shoppers Drug Mart on Sydney Street, where they're doing testing, at the hospital. I want to thank all of our paramedics who have gone to people's homes to do testing. These are all phenomenal results, and we thank you for that. And while those are great numbers, the numbers that we really are paying attention to, because they are what's going to lead us out of the COVID-19 restrictions, have to do with vaccines. So we have had 13,821 vaccines administered in our region, which is outstanding work. And I can tell you that 1,345 people have already had both doses of their vaccine. So that's terrific because that is what's going to lead us to the freedom that we have in the future. Vaccine rollouts continue as the province gets more supply from the federal government. And right now, individuals that are 80 years of age and older can book an appointment on the COVID-19 vaccination site. That is at, the address is here on the screen, but it's www.ontario.ca/book-vaccine. And if you go there, you'll be able to get on and register yourself for inoculation, for a vaccination. There were some issues, a little bit of hiccups on the first day that it went live, but they've worked it all out, and I understand now that it's functioning very, very well. So we appreciate everyone's patience for that. We encourage people to use online booking. And let's say that you're a person that's not familiar or not very comfortable using the computer and online. So we ask you to find a family member or a friend or someone that can help you book on your behalf. You need your photo ID, so your Ontario health card, a number and information is necessary for when you book so that you can meet the criteria or the dates in question for that booking. As I said, this is the 1-year anniversary of the provincial declaration of emergency and the shutdown requirements here in Ontario and here in Belleville. And what a year it has been. I've tried to provide these weekly updates as best we can to keep residents informed. But a year ago today, I had the chance to have a picture taken with James. James, who has worked as our front door security person at City Hall when we had to move to appointment-only bookings. And here's a picture of James and I from a year ago, and here's a picture from James and I this morning. And you know, a lot of things have changed, including his station down at City Hall and what we've done. But we appreciate not just James, but all the folks that are helping monitor our buildings to make sure that people are complying with COVID-19 rules, but also that we're still open and able to provide that service. And so that's great. Big shout out has to go to everybody who's helped us through this process. I'm talking about people with Hastings and Prince Edward Health, our healthcare professionals on their front lines that have dealt with people who had illness, our public servants, our city staff, who, you know, we made a commitment back in March of 2020 that we would continue to provide the essential services that residents rely on. And I'm so proud of the work of everybody to get to that point. It's been phenomenal. And it's not been without sacrifice and without challenges. And so I just want to recognize everybody today on this 1 year. We don't know how much longer it's going to be. We do know that there's light at the end of the tunnel because of vaccinations, but it's important for us to take a moment and stop and think about what we've been through, celebrate a little bit, and then keep focused moving forward. There are a number of surveys that the city is now taking online, getting input from residents, and one of them is how we should vote in the next municipal election. We've had 3 elections now where we've introduced internet voting or online voting, and each election has seen an increase on it, which has been good. But still about 75% of residents vote in person, and they vote using paper ballots. And one of the things that we're taking feedback from right now is about moving to electronic voting. So we would expand our internet voting or online voting. We could consider using telephone voting as well. And then we also would continue to have in-person voting, but rather than using a paper ballot that would have to be tabulated, we're talking about using an electronic means, so an iPad where people can still vote. That will allow people to come to a voting center where they feel more comfortable. It also allows us to go to folks in retirement residences and other areas where they're not able to be mobile, and we can have those roving stations. So those are some things we're seeking some feedback on. We ask you to provide that feedback by April the 2nd. You can call or email your feedback to the city clerk, but there is information on the city website in terms of how you can log on and do that, and we'd encourage you to. Yesterday, while I was unable to be in attendance, Councillor Sandison was able to represent me as chair of the Finance Committee for an exciting announcement regarding funding from the federal and provincial governments to help Belleville pay for our new or upgraded Canafton stormwater pumping station. And that's a really important station because it keeps not just the underpass on Canafton Road free from flooding during large water events, but it helps the entire area. And that station has been around since 1980. So it's done really, really well. But that is a huge opportunity, and we received just over $560,000 from the federal government and $468,000 from the provincial government to go along with the City of Belleville's contribution of about $374,000. And we can upgrade that facility, and that'll be great for everybody in the future. Tomorrow, we will be receiving or basically celebrating the 4 new buses. 4 of the 5 new buses that we purchased are going into service. You might recall I did a video previously from inside one of those buses, but there's a lot of customization that has to happen. We have to put in some of our fare boxes and cameras and information, the message boards on the buses, and basically get them all ready for Belleville use. That has now been done, so 4 out of the 5 buses will be in service tomorrow. These are the first new buses that we've received since 2013. So it's been quite some time, and we will be retiring buses to, we bought 5 new ones. We'll be retiring 5 old ones, and that is great news for us, and so I'm happy about that. Also, today, we're going to be tomorrow, Friday, we'll also be on a call with the Eastern Ontario Regional Network. So those of you who live in rural Belleville, in parts of Thurlow, you'll know that your cell phone service and your high-speed internet is not what it should be. It's not the same as urban areas. So through a partnership, all of the Eastern Ontario communities have partnered to be able to fix that cell gap project, as well as expansion of high-speed internet. So tomorrow we're going to announce the company that got the job to build that system for us, and we're looking forward to it. And then just very quickly, the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center guide is available online. You can go there. Registration begins next week on March 22nd, which is Monday. You can go to quintesportsandwellnesscenter.ca, QSSWC.ca, for more information, including all of the spring programming that we're doing. And I'm pleased to be able to announce that we have tried to maintain our services throughout the COVID time as we're permitted to in a safe, responsible manner, and I appreciate all the staff that have been doing it. So, last thing I want to just talk about really quickly is a big tip of my hat to the organizers of the Blue Ribbon Campaign for violence and acts of random kindness, which was last week here in the city of Belleville. And that is an activity that came out of such a sad situation. 25 years ago, Mark Fike was on vacation and he was senselessly murdered. And the family took that real, difficult situation and have come back and have tried to create more compassion and more love in our community. And they have done such a great job. And so you would have seen blue ribbons around the city. I think you saw a picture of me sporting my blue ribbon, but also gift baskets and just paying it forward. And I know all across the city, folks were telling me that they were in line at Tim Hortons or McDonald's or another type of restaurant, and the person ahead of them had paid for their items. They paid it forward themselves. But that is, an indication of what we can do when life really gives you some unfair things. This big family of Mark Fike have done some wonderful things, and of course, their family has made a huge contribution to Belleville in all kinds of different ways, including Mark's brother is one of our police officers and does a great job with Belleville Police Service. So I just want to recognize that family and say thank you. That's almost it for this week's message. I do want to come back to what we know has been working throughout the COVID-19 virus. It's the 3 W's, as I call them. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. And when you cannot watch your distance and you're indoors, you know you must wear a mask. But those 3 things have been messages that we've said from the very beginning. That first video that I did back, I think on March the 12th, where we talked about the city getting ready for what might happen, we talked about washing your hands and making sure you're not sneezing or spreading germs, and that's where wearing a mask comes in, so it's so important. We've learned a lot since the beginning of COVID, but we've also learned that what we've been doing from the beginning has worked, and certainly our region has shown that. So I just want to say thank you. I don't want to say happy anniversary, but I do want to say that this is a big turning point. We can see light at the end of the tunnel, and I appreciate everyone's help. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or members of council.